up traders, what up investors, Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic video. Today we're going to be looking at Rocket Mortgage. We're going to be kind of doing like a very cutting into the company, looking at the fundamentals, looking at the story, looking at the charts, and just trying to create a picture of like, hey, what are we looking at here? What are some things that we could help us make some money in this stock? And my honest opinions if I'm going to be buying it and so forth. So I need to thank GTFO within the Discord. Again, he pointed this one out on the live stream the other day. I got my mind rolling. I couldn't sleep really much. I kept on thinking about it in my sleep, rolling around, and now it's in the morning hours the following day. And I've been reading up about it quite a bit here and just kind of understanding the company inside and out very well. That being said, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a financial advisor, so this is for my honest opinions on this. And again, this is for to take just with a grain of salt. That being said, before we get started, if you don't want to listen to these two quick affiliate links, just go ahead and skip ahead about 30 seconds. First one is the Amazon Books and Audible. Again, I love to listen to books on tape. I guess it's not on tape anymore. It's basically on my phone or just digitally. Check out Audible. I love it. Check that out. Next, last but not least, is Tastyworks. So Tastyworks is what I use to trade options, stocks, and now cryptos. If you open an account of $2,000 or more, you have you can select from 10 options or 100 shares. So that is a pretty good offer they're currently running, and if you use the affiliate link down in the description as well there. So thank you very much for that. So let's go ahead and just dive right into this. Of course, we're looking here on Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha is a great way to get very good due diligence from folks who are very, very entwined into the industries. But again, I take it with a grain of salt, though. So you have to remember that the thing is great is people do tell if they're in the position or not. So this individual, Dean Young, fantastic writer, did a wonderful job on this particular article, summarizing basically Rocket had back-to-back blowout quarters, but it's just struggling. Like the chart is just struggling. It's just kind of been suppressed by for whatever reason. And he goes into great detail. He's using the PE ratio, which is the price to earnings ratio, which is I don't like to use. A lot of the more of the fundamental folks like to use that ratio. I think I kind of look for stocks that have a very high PE ratio because I'm more of a growth looking for the next growth stocks. So this is definitely something you can take with a grain of salt, in my opinion. So again, Rocket has came in IPO on August 2020. It's the largest mortgage loan organized in the United States. Investors were very bullish on it, and you'll see that in the chart here. This little chart down here went well up to nearly, I think it was like $40 here. Yeah, $35 at the high there. So that was pretty substantial there. And then basically, this is the part where I kind of have a hard time I disagree with that the mortgage market boom will slow. Anything will slow, we understand that. But as of right now, with the amount of money that the Fed and the government, or the government overall, is just putting into the market, okay, with the stimulus checks, with basically interest rates being next to zero, a lot of people are refinancing. A lot of people are able to purchase their home for the first time because they have been able to accumulate a little bit of money in the last year or so of just not saving, not traveling, things like that. Like this is creating some like a pent up demand of like, hey, I have, God fortunate, there's some people who've been suffering and everything from this, and that sucks. But on the flip side, there's a lot of people who made their lives a slightly better in the sense of that. Basically, for the amount of what Dean was talking about here is basically he's saying Rocket is not a technology company. Like it's not like a Google or a Facebook. I think everyone kind of knows that. What they are trying to do is basically why I also love IPOE, aka SoFi, is that they are trying to make the millennials ease a process of getting a loan and things like that streamline. And that is that does deserve some kind of premium on it, because if you remember, like, this is not like your mom and pop loan where you have to dress up, trim the beard, put a tie and suit on, and then walk down with some papers to your local bank and talk to someone behind a leather chair and ask for a loan. This is very much the newer age of just like, let me just whip out my phone and just go to town on it by just giving my information to the algorithm, and the algorithm really just helps me select it. And again, the thing is too, the individual Dean talks about is like saying like, hey, the reason why there's still a lot of expenses still with Rocket is the algorithm does connect you to a loan, but there's still the labor or humans driving the overall underwriting of the loan and double checking the work. And I'm like, that kind of makes sense, but you have to understand, like, I think this still has a lot more momentum. Again, this is I'm actually more and more looking into this. I'm fairly bullish on the stock, and I will be purchasing some shares come next week, and we'll go into that in the chart here in a second. With that being said, we're seeing the really extensive, a lot of extensive amount of expenses due to the human of adding of this. So I think once Rocket starts developing and really bulking up again, this stock, I think it's really just taking shares from other companies. Like, it's not just like creating it's not really redoing sliced bread. It's just like it's doing it better, like, and it's making it easier for the consumer to do it. Like, ease of use is huge, I believe, in a lot of different aspects of life. Like, I don't want to do. I want to do this online. Like, I can do it on my phone, and I can get it pre-approved within like 15 minutes, and I can go look at a house. Like, and I can show my real estate agent, hey, I just got pre-approved for $500,000 for a house, so I can go look for it. Blah 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 blah. So you just upload your documents and so forth. That's fantastic, actually. I really and then of course Dean goes into some of the conclusion costs of like, hey, he's like, he does complete his my small long position in Rocket recently. The catalysts for Rocket have passed, and I do not see any more on the horizon. I feel this is kind of malarkey, as they say. I think you can never tell a true catalyst that can really surprise everything. And I think when folks are somewhat dormant and just kind of forget about something, this is when the company just kind of puts their nose to the grindstone and just literally pumps out some fantastic news, data, earnings, and things like that. So that being said, let's go ahead and just look over to the flip side of more on the stock twits side of Rocket Mortgage. A lot of folks are surprisingly finding people talking about the PE ratio here as well. Buy high, sell low is saying Rocket to 40. Okay. And then what do you guys think of the run for earnings? We're going to talk about that in a second. People linking, which is, again, Rocket Mortgage was on the short squeeze list for Wall Street Bets. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, if there's still some paper hands in there who just bought it just because of that. And actually, this person actually made a pretty good deal. So Rocket Mortgage is a retirement stock. It's not going to squeeze like other opportunities in the market. If you're just planning to sit and forget it, you want this stock to be able to look for. But look at CCIV. That is, of course, the company that just went completely gangbusters. That being said. And then Chart Mill saying Rocket House analyzed by 12 analysts, and the buy consensus is at 67%. I don't give a rat's you know what about the analysts, what they're saying. Small Wolf, that's awesome. Why is this so undervalued? A big company W would insinuate any missing thing here. So it looks like a lot of people's overall consensus. Again, I'm taking this with a very small grain of salt. And the overall consensus is like, hey, it's undervalued. This is about a pop. Look at the institutional ownership, and that's what we're going to be kind of looking to. So this is hilarious. So that being said, so we can kind of look at some institutional ownership. So BlackRock's in this. Okay, so right there, I was like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Vanguard is in it too. Vanguard added a position into it. They have a little over 5.4 million shares of this. Okay. The California private, whatever, California, God bless you. They have 9.5 million of that shares. And then, of course, we have Invesco, another very large active fund here, having 10.7 million shares of this nearly $214 million in this stock. So 2 point something bill. Very interesting stuff to see. I like when I see BlackRock and Vanguard in it. Let's be honest here. Like, those are some of my two largest funds that I like to see with the current filings. With Vanguard, again, that data is a little bit old, but BlackRock is actually somewhat recent, from the 5th of February. You can see here when that F13F filing was listed. So that is something to be, and you can see their average share price at $20.08. So remember that $20.08 kind of time frame, what we're looking for. So nearly 8.8 million shares of this stock. So let's go ahead and just kind of make our way to the charts here. You can kind of see here, Rocket, again, ticker symbol RKT. Very much, you saw that very explosive high move here when we had that IPO, hitting that very tremendous high around $34.42, and now ever since there has been completely just choppy water weather, and just not having really getting any kind of news. The last earnings, they made money, and the first earnings they made money, but it just hasn't really gone anywhere, because I think this really scared a lot of folks over here on really just seeing the like what happened here, and now it just has been very much dormant. I'm normally not the largest fan of just buying and going out and straight owning these IPO stocks, due to the fact of I think people's expectations get a little too hot, and sometimes you get a lot of damage back, or sparks flying back at you when you're trying to be buying in very larger positions on these newer IPO stocks. Yes, some of them just continue to climb, but majority of them have a pretty substantial pullback. So if you remember Snow, which was the IPO of 2020, was very much dormant for a little bit of time, but then it kind of took off and then came right back down. So we can look at Uber. Of course, that was another very large stock that people were getting into. Looking here on the weekly chart, it basically, the first 2 quarters were fine, but then it just took a dip, and then it took at least another 5 quarters, 6 quarters, 7 quarters to really get that breakout. So being mindful of that knowledge of that trend here, this is something that we can easily see with Rocket. So if I do add to this position, I am adding to the position, but it's going to be a very long-term horizon. So this is something that I will potentially, I'm going to hold for at least 18 months. Okay. So 18 months to 2 years is going to be my time horizon for this investment here. With, again, this is not just like this is not, you can scalp this, whatever, like this is not my kind of cup of tea or my forte as well, but seeing this Rocket Mortgage just kind of just dwindling around here. We had Zillow, we had Redfin. Those folks were talking about seeing like crazy home sales. Like, look at Zillow here. Like this went rocket. This gapped up on earnings, okay, and then hit that Fibonacci number at $200. Again, we talked about Zillow quite a bit. We have which is the Redfin, which is where is Redfin? There we go. As well, rocketing higher, nearly making all-time highs, also hitting around that Fibonacci number here. I think that these are hot stocks. Again, this is going into earnings. I'm a little bit concerned because it has somewhat moved already into earnings. Redfin has earnings coming out on the 24th, so just be mindful of that. So if you're telling me that home sales are going great, more people are buying, I understand that people are like saying that this will slow down. I understand that, but the mortgage, especially with this, is they have a lot of the market under control. Like, they have a lot of great consumer loyalty, in the sense of, like, you're not like buying a home every year or every month, but people are like, hey, how did I pay for it? And Dean did highlight that Rocket Mortgage sometimes has a little bit higher of a premium on it because of whatever reasons out of some of their comparisons. But I think most people shop around for mortgages. They just don't go for one. and then they evaluate, like, why would you pay more? But anyways, that being said, if that's a really a burden for people of if it really is cost more, like, why wouldn't you just go with another company if it does cost more? Because again, most likely once your mortgage, you go through it, it's going to be sold to some kind of investment bank and or a larger institutional bank once your mortgage goes through, and that you basically become a line item on someone's credit default swaps. Just joking. That being said, with earnings coming up here for the old Rocket here on the 25th of February, could we see what happens again? The 25th of February, it does have the earnings expectation is nearly $3. So this is bring us back down to that level here around well below 18 potentially. But we do have a nice, pretty floor support around 1950-ish level. That's what kind of was basing out. We saw in last earnings, it earned a buck 21, and it still kind of just was flat here. It is kind of trading below here, the 21 EMA, which is not really my favorite forte again, but I'm looking at a little bit longer term time horizon and just really kind of summarizing this overall just like slosh of a move here. With that being said here, if you're going to the volume price profile here, so I like to use this again. Remember we talked about the BlackRock's overall position here, and what this chart does here on the side here and the volume here, it just shows on where the most shares were accumulated, and the most shares that were currently accumulated and the point of control is around $20.20. So if we remember, when you go back over here, it was at $20.08. So basically BlackRock beat it by 12 cents. That being said, that's something that we could be looking at here in the sense of like, okay, that is a pretty strong support level. Because again, if the stock does come back down, there's going to be a brick wall of titanium wall of potential people that are just willing to buy more of it to get their cost average down, or there could be a very large wall of support if it could bounce off of that. But so between that $20 to $19.25 are those two levels that we want to be looking for to the downside. At the same note, I'm sorry, let's go back here. We do have a little bit of volume kind of coming in here on that $24 level. So if you remember here, that is also a Darvis box here. So we can look at that overall previously kind of failing here. We saw it fail here once and fail here twice. So that $24 range could be also falling in one of those parabolic SAR dots are. Those little purple little guys here. So if we can kind of have those continuously to come down into the ticks and we can break through them, I think that we could potentially see a move higher. I'm not saying this move is going to happen on earnings. I don't know if this move is going to happen next month. I just think Rocket has the potential of moving. It does have a slight premium on it because again, it was within that Wall Street bets kind of short squeeze mentality. So that has a little bit of concern for me. But again, having a little bit longer time horizon, get rid of those paper hands and become diamond hands. I think we could definitely see Rocket Mortgage be somewhat of an outperformer here potentially. But if there's heading below here, we're going to have to be very mindful of looking at those support levels to the downside, or especially around 1975 to 1950. With that being said, we can also do a very basic Fibonacci analysis here on the swing high to swing low here. And you can really see that $24 level or $23.96 being some level of overhead resistance. We saw that fail here, here, and here. So 3 times it failed, and actually failed on the IPO for 3 days as well at that level. But be very mindful of that. So if we could see a breakout, we're definitely going to be looking for some overall resistance coming in around that $24 level. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for stopping by. Please hit the like and subscribe on the way out the door. I greatly appreciate it. Check out those affiliate links down in the description below, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side on the next live stream too, maybe. Peace.